Hello, my name is Andreas Felten and I'm currently a lecturer at ISM University. I'm lecturing in the departments of communication and politics. Today we are going to talk about public speaking. A very complicated subject, very broad subject. A lot of people are very afraid actually to talk in front of audiences. So we will give some instructions how you can become a better speaker or convincing audiences. Because it's such a very big topic, we'll focus on two aspects. And this is mainly the wording and the voicing of a speech. Before that, however, we need to take one extra step. And that extra step is we need to look at one of the most common mistakes that is made by public speakers. And this can be actually very good characterized by a saying by Arthur Schopenhauer. Arthur Schopenhauer was saying that a speaker might be totally correct in every single fact and figure that he's presenting to the audience, but still might be totally incorrect in the eyes and the ears of the audience. So what can we deduct from that? Well, first of all, facts are important, but sometimes they're not convincing enough. Second thing, we should not focus on ourselves, but rather on the audience. And let's keep that thought going for a while. How can we focus on the audience? I would say there are three main questions that you can ask yourself, and you should ask yourself before every public appearance. The first one is, what does the audience expect from me? So what is my role? Am I a superior? Am I a motivational speaker? Am I here as a private person? Am I here as a statesman? What does the audience expect from me? Second question would be, what is my target audience? Are these Muslims? Are these Christians? Are these Americans or Japanese? This plays a big role in how we can adjust our words and how we structure our arguments, and actually what kind of authorities are acceptable. So it's a very important thing to know in advance so that we can actually specify our wording, voicing and all other aspects of our public speech to this one purpose in, well, convincing the audience that we have something important to say. The third aspect is, at what occasion are we speaking and for what purpose? This is important because, well, obviously, and this is kind of self-evident, it makes a huge difference if we are speaking at a funeral or a birthday party. Okay, this is the biggest gap. But all the things in between also play a role. Like, am I a lecturer? Am I just having a talk, a public talk in a pub? Makes a whole lot of a difference in how we construct our own speech. The second aspect of this third question is, what is the purpose? And this is also can be characterized as our goal. What is our goal that we want to achieve? What is the effect that we want to have on this audience? So if you answer these three questions before you go to a public speech, I think you will be actually doing very good. And now let's come to the second part. Second part would be we're focusing on the wording as such. And for both the wording and the voicing, the three most important aspects would be understandability, creating an interest, and the third aspect is sustainability. Now, how do you do that with wording? Well, actually quite easy. Understandability means that you should not talk in long sentences. Press agencies around the world say actually 15 to 20 words is the maximum that we should put in a sentence that we read. However, when reading a sentence, you have the words in front of you and you can go back and forth, you can read it again. This we don't have as a chance when we do public speaking. So short sentences is really a focus. What else? Well, the second aspect I would also rank under understandability is, of course, that we have an appropriate vocabulary. That means it makes a difference. If we're talking to engineers, we can talk in highly technical terms. If we want to tell the people the same thing in front of the television, like the average people, then we should use a different vocabulary. So that is, of course, creating a better understandability. The second thing, drawing an interest. Very important, because you don't want to bore your audience. If you do that, well, they will just shut off at one point and then your message is lost. So how do you do that? For example, with rhetoric questions, as I used them in the first part, by saying, what is our target audience? What is the purpose? What is the occasion for our speech? and what is my role as a speaker. So if you use these questions, then answering them yourself, that is a very good tool to draw interest. Questions always generate interest, and rhetorical questions can be also a very powerful tool in structuring your speech in an interesting way. The third point would be sustainability. How do we reach sustainability? Well, also that is no sorcery or witchcraft. It's actually quite easy. If you focus on, let's say, the best speaker that probably, well, arguably the best speaker that we have at the moment, Barack Obama. He was constantly repeating his messages. The most important message would be change or yes, we can. And in each speech that he gave, he would say this numerous times so that it sticks into the minds of the audience.
When we've been told we're not ready, or that we shouldn't try, or that we can't, generations of Americans have responded with a simple creed that sums up the spirit of a people. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Another important aspect would be if you have facts and figures like the new Caramel Sweets Treaty Law of the European Union, 156 pages long. Well, this is the facts. But you can also make it more interesting and appeal to the other side of the brain and use a picture. It's 156 pages long. And if you would put all of these pages in one single line, you could actually easily cover the distance between, for example, Vilnius and Kaunas, or in the US between New York and Philadelphia. And thus, through combining pictures and facts, you can actually reach a better remembrance of what you have said before. The second part is voicing. Voicing, the same three things will be important: understandability, drawing interest, and sustainability. Now, what about the voices? How do we create understandability? Well, we can give focus on certain words or phrases by pronouncing them in a certain way or by giving breaks. And this is created by adjusting the speed that we talk in. Remember, we should always focus on the speed, not to speak too fast. If we speak too fast, yes, people will think that we have a lot to say, but they will not remember what we actually said. And this is not in our interest as a talker or speaker. So, adjust the speaking style, speak slow. If you have emotions that you want to convey, you can do this by then speaking faster at a certain point. And then you focus down again. And after each important sentence or part of your speech, you should set a break. Break setting is a very important and powerful tool, and you can also easily see this when Barack Obama speaks. He makes a lot of breaks so that people can reflect upon the thoughts, that they can reflect upon the words that we have said and process them, thus being ready for the next important step. Now, how do we draw an interest? Obviously, what I already said so far is also automatically creating interest. But you can also raise your voice, you can talk louder in volume, you can talk lower and more silent. Both is a very powerful tool to create interest. So if there are a lot of disturbances, you can either choose to go louder and to appear strong, or you can also go lower or ask questions. You can combine pretty easily, and thus also creating a certain way of interest. The last point, sustainability, for this part of voicing, is actually already created by the previously mentioned points of creating interest and understandability. Because if you combine these 2 points, you will automatically basically create sustainability. So what have we said overall or learned today? Well, first of all, we need to focus on our target audience. This is the single most important point about public speaking. I shall not focus on myself and what I think is appropriate, but what is my audience like? What do they want to hear? What can convince them? How do they regard me? And not the other way around. The second point, What was wording? Wording is important. We shall speak understandable and in an interesting way. And we can point out two things here. Not to put too much words in a sentence, and of course to use pictures and rhetoric questions to structure our speech, thus creating interest, a better understandability, and then sustainability by repeating the most important aspects. The third thing, voicing, well, the adjustment of speaking style, intonation, raising the volume, lowering the volume, or setting breaks is also very important, creating interest and sustainability. So if you combine all of these points actually together, you will be on a good way to be a successful public speaker.